According to the Cancer Association of Zimbabwe, over 5,000 new cancer cases are diagnosed annually. There is the movement of a cancer-free Zimbabwe, but this is also facing different threats. Today, I'm joined by a cancer survivor, a fighter, Nyasha, who will take us on a journey and tell us about her own experience, whilst also enlightening about the state of cancer facilities in the country. Nyasha, thank you for joining us and welcome to our program.
Thank you for having me.
And I think for everyone, when we hear about the word cancer, it's like this big monster, this disease that's taking away loved ones, not only in Zimbabwe, regionally and globally. It's one of the highest diseases which are actually causing deaths around the globe. Take us through your journey. What triggered or what influenced the decision to say, okay, I think because of this pain or because of this feeling, I have to go to the doctor?
All right, thank you. So I had severe pain in 2015, in January of 2015. And actually that pain happened when I was in the supermarket. And I was just walking, I felt this sharp pain. And I stopped for a bit. Then I said, I let me just continue with what I'm doing, then I'll go and get checked. Yeah. But I thought maybe it was something actually that I not quite like go and get checked, like go to the hospital, but maybe just get some medication, pain medication. So later that night, as I was sleeping, that's when the pain again came through, and it was in the lower abdomen, and it shot through, and that time then I knew that this was something really that was terrible, and so my family they called the in fact they didn't call the ambulance. They actually rushed me to hospital. Yes, rushed me to hospital. That was around 2 a.m. And then when we went to hospital, the doctors came to look at me, and they did some scans, and then that's when they said, looks like there's so at the time they thought actually it was an ectopic pregnancy.
Okay.
Yes, and then they said even if it's an ectopic pregnancy, it's an emergency, so we needed to go into surgery. And then when I went into surgery, after that they did the tests, the pathology for the tumor that they removed.
Okay.
That's why it was confirmed that it was a tumor.
And from that moment where you rushed to hospital, it's after midnight, it's 2 a.m., you rushed to the hospital, I'm sure you didn't think that your day was going to, from the supermarket, you didn't think that this is, after going to bed, this was how you've envisioned the rest of the day or your early morning. So after that, and the tumor was then removed, what then went on again after that? Was it recovery, or after the test, that's when the diagnosis happened, and then it was a whole different journey from there?
So actually it was a few months from the excision of the tumor to actual diagnosis, because I think it was about 3 weeks or so. The thing was still the tissue was still being tested.
Okay.
And then eventually I think about a month or a month and a half, that's when I was called by my doctor, and then they told me that I had to see an oncologist. And then I went to see the oncologist, and that's when they broke the news to me that this was a tumor. And when they broke the news, it was like an emergency that now we need to go into surgery, we need to go into immediate surgery, we need to remove, see if there are any other tumors that are still remaining, and remove everything as soon as possible, and then immediately go to chemotherapy. So it was like immediate, and it was a shock. I didn't even have a chance to process everything, and then being told I need to go into another surgery. So I felt like distant, like I was watching myself.
Okay.
Like I didn't think this was happening to me. This must be somebody else. Yeah, but so at the time I said I needed time. At the time I said I needed time because I felt I wasn't ready. And then after a few months, that's when I started going into the processes of going for further scans and the like.
Okay.
Yes.
You mentioned the doctor breaking the news, the feelings, the emotions involved in trying to process everything. And after this diagnosis, how accessible, in your view, how accessible and affordable was the treatment? I understand it involves chemo, it involves maybe a couple of surgery, maybe not just one. How affordable was the treatment? And maybe if you could highlight also what sort of treatment that you had to get.
All right. So generally treatment is not affordable, just any kind of treatment in Zimbabwe. And cancer treatment in particular, then it's it's just an extra layer of expense. And well, I'll be grateful for the fact that I was a bit cushioned, because of my life circumstances. Yes, but when you then interact, because the moment you're diagnosed with cancer, you realize that you need a support system, and one of the best support systems that you can get is fellow cancer patients.
Okay.
Yes, so now in relating with fellow cancer patients, that's when you realize the reality on the ground that this thing is really, really expensive. But even for myself, I would say that I still felt that the expense of having to deal with cancer treatment, because at the time I was on medical aid, and then I was shocked. I mean, I was on private,
Premium,
yes, and then I was shocked at the number of at the amount of shortfalls. The amounts that we had to pay to top up
the medical aid
surgery, yes, and then even when I then started chemotherapy, is similarly. So it was quite a shock to realize how expensive cancer is, and unfortunately for those that then have to go into public systems, the public healthcare system,
yes,
it's even serious in that this lack of resources. Yes, so that was one thing that I had to come face to face with when I started on this cancer journey.
And you mentioned that you were a bit cushioned. There was you had the advantage of medical aid, but still you had, and it was actually private. It wasn't for like the government hospital, but still you had shortfalls and had to top up on the medical aid scheme that you actually had. And you're saying that in the community of fellow cancer patients, that's when you understood the reality that is on the ground. Do you think that as Zimbabweans, we actually understand or have an appreciation of the struggles that cancer patients within our country are experiencing, or maybe we just know the idea of the disease? We know the idea of wearing pink, wearing orange during all these months, but do people have an understanding of the burden that actually cancer patients and their families have to bear when it comes to dealing with cancer treatment?
No, I don't think the majority of Zimbabweans really do have an appreciation, and it's only when it's somebody close to home, somebody very close to you is affected by cancer that you then realize the burden that it involves. And I like what you said about it's like an event to many of us. Like, oh yeah, it's breast cancer month, breast cancer awareness month. We do the pink ribbons, prostate cancer and the like, but it's more than an event, and the majority of cancer patients really, they once you get the diagnosis, it's beyond the expense, the financial expense. There's the emotional burden that you have to deal with, that stress, what next? It's never certain, and particularly so in this country where the resources are so scarce. Yes, when you go to public hospitals, for instance, you find you get a date that you come for treatment. You need to come for treatment on this particular date. Yes, and then when you go that day, sometimes you may not even get the treatment. Maybe you're told maybe a machine is broken down, maybe a doctor is not available. They just reasons, for sometimes why treatment is not available. And then even when it's available, for instance, maybe you're told you need a scan, the amount that is payable even at the government hospitals, in as much as it's lower than in the private hospitals, it's still not affordable to the number of patients, the majority of patients.
And thank you for highlighting that, Nyasha, because I feel this is a conversation that we hardly have. We have the conversations during Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and when it's those days where, like you said, it's like an event, but there's also so many layers to from the diagnosis to the treatment to finally being a survivor and finally cancer free. But as a nation, as a society, we just don't have an appreciation of what exactly it entails and the experiences that different cancer patients have. You mentioned the idea of having the issues of having, like, maybe getting to the hospital, to a public hospital, government hospital, and there's no doctor. Maybe the machine has broken down. So according to the International Atomic Energy Agency, ideally, it recommends about 4 radiotherapy units per 1 million people. And with a minimum of at least 1.5 units for a million people. And for most low-income countries, this figure is 0.01 to 1 million per 1 million, and which is very low compared to the high-income countries where they have at least 4 to 12 radiotherapy units per a million people. And Zim, my understanding is we had 3 radiotherapy machines, and these 3 machines being at Parenyatwa and I think it's Pilo in Bulawayo. What are your views with regards to this? Because we're talking about a population which is about 16 to 18 million, and we have 3 machines which for some times are broken down. I remember during COVID, that's when I started following the cancer story in Zimbabwe. I think there's a lady whose name is Tendai, and she was talking about how she couldn't access radiotherapy treatment due to the fact that the machines in Parenyatwa were broken down, and it was locked down. The pandemic didn't make it any easier, and we had to fly in engineers from South Africa to come and fix those machines so that cancer patients get their treatment. So how do you think this then also affects us towards our cancer-free Zimbabwe? Because if we have 3 machines which are usually either broken down or not working, and to a vis-a-vis a population of about 16 to 18 million, how do you think this also then affects us on the mission of a cancer-free Zimbabwe?
Thank you. It does affect us a lot in a very huge way. In that, once you start on cancer treatment, you need to be consistent, and the cycles. For instance, if you're talking about radiotherapy, I've not yet radiotherapy. The kind of cancer that I have is not. Well, there have been recommendations for radiotherapy, but it's not available in Zimbabwe, the particular kind of radiotherapy. But for the general populace that have cancer, they need chemotherapy, they need radiotherapy, they need surgery. And so, when you're going through those particular stages, you need to follow them, because once you start and then you stop, you've only it's like you've just tickled the cancer.
Okay.
Yes. And then you leave it. So it then starts to act more aggressively. Yes, so there is need for that consistency. Like once somebody starts on radiotherapy, you need to go through the recommended cycles. So it then affects patients, when they only go for a few cycles, and then the next session they're told the machine is broken down. And unfortunately, even up to now, these machines in the public hospitals are still not working. And patients have to go to Namibia, have to go to Zambia, for treatment. And if this is something, if there was political will, government would be able to, invest. Because I remember, I was in 2023 when the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Health met with the relevant authorities in government.
Yes.
They were promised that efforts were underway. Communication had been made with I think it was said to be a Swiss company that was said to be responsible for these particular machines, and that they would be coming in. I think that was said to be June or at least May last year. That's when they said they'll be coming, the machines will be fixed. And up to now, that has not happened. So you realize that it then affects patients. It then affects patients. And it's not as if we don't have the machines, it's only fixing, repairing the machines that needs to be done. So if only, just starting with those available machines, if they could be fixed, it would be something for the patients that need them.
Okay. So Nyasha is saying that it's okay if we were to have 20 units, praise God, but to actually the starting point is fixing the machines that we already have in the country, and that would go a long way into serving cancer patients in Zimbabwe, and even also relieving the pain from themselves, be it the physical and the emotional toll cancer has on them, and even that of the family. And prior to this, Nyasha, going back to your story, did you have knowledge of cancer, deep knowledge of cancer? Or maybe you were like me, who just knows of cancer, who knows of the events, the social media hashtags, and what also do you think that when it comes to the nation at large generally, do we have knowledge when it comes to cancer, even be it its causes? Do we have that understanding, or maybe most of us only know of cancer when we hear of a close one being diagnosed or actually dying due to cancer?
Yeah, you're right. It's unfortunate. I was also one of like many that didn't really pay much regards to the disease, and it was just something that I would read about in the media and watch on the media, and just when it's a particular day, cancer of a particular in fact, the most common one is breast cancer.
Obviously,
yes,
where we paint the town pink.
Yes. So that was who I was, and it was only after my own diagnosis, that I really began to start researching, and I realized, that there's a lot of this misinformation and a lot of just lack of knowledge and awareness with regards to cancer. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Even at national level, you realize that it's just it's not a constant
topic.
Awareness. It's not a constant topic, and even though we do have a national cancer program, it's not something that's widely disseminated, and so we remain really in the dark about what is cancer and how to prevent it. And prevention really is the best cure.
Okay. Yes. Now imagine you're interviewing Nyasha and she's talking about how the media hardly portrays or talks about the topic. I guess it's homework for myself and my colleagues within the media fraternity to actually speak more on this topic, shed more light, raise awareness, because I'm sure organizations like the Cancer Association of Zimbabwe, Civic Society, Kids can only do so much, but without the help of the media, then there's always, like you say, there's always misinformation, or sometimes there's just total ignorance within the population there. Sometimes people don't understand that that it actually can be prevented in certain instances. And in your experience, like you mentioned, I liked your comparison of that, of the public sector and the government facilities. If you've been to both, be it with or other people's experience, is the gap too wide between the government facilities, government cancer facilities, and the private cancer facilities? Is the gap too wide, or maybe the government is doing just enough? What do you think? Is it just too wide, or maybe we're doing just fine? The government and the public facilities are doing just fine.
No, not at all. The gap is just too wide. It's extremely wide. In terms of resources, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of even medication. And I also think human resources as well. There's I think the overwhelmed. I guess it's because the majority of patients, cannot afford private care, so they then do go to public health facilities, and because of that, then you find people are overwhelmed.
Okay.
Yes. So I think more could be done. Really, more could be done by government, and we do have. I think we do have, if stakeholders would come together, we can have public-private partnerships, and where in private care and government, they find some way of working together. Where government maybe makes resources available to particular infrastructure. I think the thing that government has is infrastructure. Like Parenga is very big. There's lots of rooms that are actually vacant, and so if there could be some sort of partnership, and even maybe in terms of taxes, when private partners are importing equipment, there are tax incentives and the like. I think we could make a lot of progress. And government is also, Zimbabwe is a member of, you mentioned the International Atomic Energy, Agency. It's a member, and that agency actually has facilitate like resources programs, where you can get assistance in terms of even having bankable projects where like maybe government wants to buy more radiotherapy machines. That agency actually assists with coming up with the kind of documents that they can then use to source more. Okay. And there's just many other ways that it can actually assist. It's actually assisting many other countries in Africa as we speak. So I think it's really an issue of political willpower, really just saying we want to do this. Yes, and I think we could even get to a point where we can actually make Zimbabwe be a place where there's medical tourism instead of us going out, because that's what's happening at the moment. The majority of people that can afford, they go out of the country. That's foreign currency that's just going out. So really there is more that could be done.
Okay. And you mentioned how that maybe government, even when it comes to the private institutions, maybe they are importing the equipment, the machines, and everything. How there can be tax incentives and all of that, because we know that that is also a hindrance in most cases. Where when you're trying to import medical equipment, the tax is a bit too high. So instead of it being done in volumes, they do it in low volumes. Private institutions do it in low volumes, and don't do it rapidly, don't do it frequently, because it's also taxing on their own pocket as a private institution. So hopefully this will be something that would change. And if you've got any questions, if you've got any comments, please do put them in our comment section. And maybe, who knows, maybe we could, by the next time, we can have the whole health portfolio committee with us, and Nyasha would be also asking them, firing them with questions, and they'll be responding just in case they feel that they were not represented well. So please put your comments and your questions in our comment section. And before we close, Nyasha, did the health facilities that you went to give you any do they offer any post-diagnosis support? Because I understand that it's one thing getting the diagnosis and accepting it and trying to make steps to understand what you do after the diagnosis. So did the health facilities that you went to, did they offer post-diagnosis support? And also, what else went in your favor? Did you have a support system?
No, I did not. To the first question, I did not receive any post-diagnosis support from the facilities that attended to me. No, there wasn't that. And then with regards to as a personal support system, yes, I did have my family, yes, quite grateful. My friends, close friends, they've stood by me really, really well. And that has been really helpful, because that is something that is very, very critical when it's having to do with cancer. It's very critical. Not only just support system in terms of physical. Sometimes like when you're going through treatment, there's things that you cannot do, like you're so tired, chemo can make you so tired and the like. So you need physical support, and then there's also the emotional support. People just standing with you. Because like one time you feel like okay, I think I can do this, and the next time you're asking, but really why, how? And so you do need that. I'm grateful that I've had that personal support system.
Okay. Yes. Thank you to Nyasha's family, Nyasha's close friends. Thank you very much for your support, because I'm sure without it she probably wouldn't be here with us. But then I'm sure it's been keeping her strong and helping her on this journey. And we've been talking about the campaigns throughout our conversation. In our closing, are we doing enough as a country? Do you think that not just putting any blame on the government and the state of the facilities presently, but as a nation, there are always campaigns, there are always hashtags. Are we doing enough as a country? And what more needs to be done when it comes to cancer prevention, awareness, and everything?
I would like to think those that are doing something are doing the best they can, and we applaud them for that. Or like they say in our Shona culture, it says it takes a village to raise a child. Yes. So I think we need to continue and maybe go further, go deeper to grassroots, because sometimes I feel that there's so much activity, so much action on social media platforms and other media networks, really, where you may find the greater community really does not have access for various reasons, whether it's due to connectivity, due to accessibility in terms of finance and the like, even just time. Some people will just not have the time, to be going on social media and the like. But so it's really going to community level, our different day-to-day communities, finding a way of having that conversation. And like my belief is, the way something that happened to HIV in the early 80s is how once it became that big in the country, it was something that was just so talked about that even when we were in primary school we knew about it.
We could recite the adverts.
Yes. So really I would love to get to a time when we can you ask a child, they know about cancer, without it being something like they think of it as a death sentence, but knowing about, like, okay, so this is what it is, and just these are the journeys that people walk, and things like that. I think we can do more. We're doing something, but we can do more.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Nyasha, and we wish you nothing but the very best on this journey.
Thank you.
Please don't stop doing what you're doing, and also your family and your friends. Please keep supporting her because we appreciate having her, and we appreciate you sharing your journey. Because I feel that sometimes when it comes from an individual who's been on that journey, who is on that journey, now we get it shares more light, and people get an understanding, an intimate understanding of what exactly cancer is, what the journey entails, and how people can overcome it, and how people have been going through that journey. So I commend you for opening up to us, and thank you very much. We appreciate you. This was another episode with myself, Marvelous Tene Bagidi, and today we're talking about Nyasha's journey with cancer, her experiences, her support system, and what needs to be done. And we were also discussing the state of cancer facilities in our country, the comparison between the private and the public institutions. Hopefully that when we come back for a conversation, there will be some movement, or at least we'll have some answers and hold those in power accountable. It's goodbye for now. Until next time, be peace.